And so I was talking about self-love and inner image. And well, last time I checked, the video had gotten half a million views, which for my
As we are
wow.
ascending, we are manifesting from 5D more than 3D. What has been your experience?
I had goosebumps all over. It's this remembering. It felt like I was learning, but quickly I realized I was remembering the whole thing. Because we never forgot anything. The soul has never forgot a thing. And so the veil of forgetfulness, the amnesia experience we're having over here, realized that I had an experience in third grade where my teacher exposed me in front of the whole class, and I feel horrible. And I realized that I went overboard and I really, really, really hit rock bottom. Now I know it's also part of my pre-birth planning, from the soul perspective. And when I, because it's all pre-agreed and pre-arranged, and we're all in loving service to one another. And
Hi, this is Akanksshaa. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. If you resonate with me, please like, comment, and share. Welcome to Multidimensional Soul Podcast and a Talk Show. On this show, we have with us today Fernando Marino, who's a light leader all the way from Brazil. A very warm welcome, Fernando, on Multidimensional Soul Podcast and Talk Show. It's lovely to have you here.
thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. It's an honor.
It's an honor for me too. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey? How did you get into spirituality?
Okay. Oh, I love this question. All right. So, what got me into spirituality and how I ended up having an awakening was actually hitting rock bottom. I am pretty sure that when I was making my plan, my pre-birth plan to come to Earth this time around, one of the main things I put in my cart, I like to say it like this, I visualize it like this, putting the missions into my cart, like a shopping cart, so to speak, before coming to Earth. And so one of the biggest things for transmutation was scarcity mentality, lack. So this is I know that was one of the biggest things for me to transmute here in the plane of duality and contrast. And so even though I never lived in poverty, the lack mentality was always just so present in me. I always thought that the one thing I had was the only thing I would ever have. So if something broke, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna get a new one. And so always very present with me. And I had a hard time growing up. I had a hard time in school. And I remember as a kid looking around and seeing adults going to work and doing things that I knew then I wasn't going to be able to do, like have a corporate job, a 9 to 5, like very aggressive to my being. And so very early on, I acquired a programming that I wasn't going to be able to provide for myself. And so that instilled in me this huge sense of unworthiness, of not being able and capable of making money, really. And so I really thought that I was never going to be able to make good money and live a fulfilling, lavish lifestyle. And so I was in ESL. I graduated from high school. I dropped out of 2 university courses. And then I ended up landing a job as an ESL instructor because I began learning English as a teenager. and I've always been obsessed with the English language. Now I know it's also part of my pre-birth planning, which I didn't understand it then. I just thought it was a weird obsession. And so I ended up doing that. I was like, you know what? I'm really good at this. So I might as well go ahead and teach it. Even though I am a teacher and I love teaching, I hated teaching ESL. And so, but that's what I did. I didn't make good money. I didn't really enjoy going to classes, but I did a good job and I did it for over 15 years. I didn't make very much money. And so the scarcity programming was there. I was manifesting the whole thing all along, even though I didn't remember I was such a powerful creator and that I was creating the whole thing. And so when I was 37, 38, 37 years old, so that's 3 years ago, I had quit my my ESL job. I had also quit my baking channel. I had a baking channel. I did it for 4 years. Uh, During the last 4 years as an ESL instructor, I also had a baking channel, which I grew to a considerable size. But I also burned out, and I was looking for meaning. I was trying to grow, but like it was not really happening. In hindsight, it's visible and palpable that the vibration was off. And so I had had enough. I couldn't pay my bills. I was looking for meaning. I was looking to reach people, and it was just awful. I can't even explain it. I hit rock bottom, and there was this day that I was fighting everything and everyone. Which was very unusual for me because I've always been more of a pacifier. And so I went I went overboard, and I really, really, really hit rock bottom. And then I had a Reiki session via a synchronistic event. Like my mom was like, "Do you want to try a Reiki session? You're not doing too great," you know? And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then in this one session, for some reason, I remembered law of attraction because I had heard of it before, but I didn't understand it. I wasn't attracted to it, but I ended up asking the Reiki practitioner about law of attraction. And she was like, "Yeah, it's this thing where you visualize holding the car wheel or whatever." And so I remember leaving the Reiki session, and the I got back home, and I had work to do, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna Google what manifesting is. And so, because I didn't know anything, and so I learned the basics, and on that very day, I opened my book subscription service thing, and I looked The Secret up because I'd been listening to audiobooks that year. That was 2022, and the Secret audiobook was there, and I was like, you know what? Let's listen to it. I went to the gym, I put my headphones on, and that's the exact moment my awakening began taking place. I listened to that book over the course of like a week. I had goosebumps all over. It's this remembering. It felt like I was learning, but quickly I realized I was remembering the whole thing. Because we never forgot anything. The soul has never forgot a thing. And so the veil of forgetfulness, the amnesia experience we're having over here, it's more of a lifting of the veil. And so everything began transforming. People thought I had gone crazy. That's what happened. People are like, "What's going on with you?" And then I stopped socializing, I stopped hanging out. And I think the first whole year, like, I was all over the place with, the spiritual stuff. But I began going more and more inwards and inwards and inwards. And then months later, I started my channel and everything began to shift. And having an awakening is the biggest gift I think any human being can receive, because it's just I mean, the way I was going prior to my awakening was not looking good. And like it was 180 turn for me, you know. And so I feel very blessed to now finally be walking a path that feels so aligned, even though I'm still here transmuting scarcity mentality and all the density, the dance frequencies that I can still pick up on, you know. Anyways, hopefully I have answered your question. And so hitting rock bottom is what got me here, you know, financial problems. Yeah.
So you mentioned about the scarcity mindset and going the rock bottom, in especially in the financial area, and then going through the law of attraction and manifestation, and that's how you got into spirituality.
Yeah.
Now, manifestation itself has changed a lot in the last few years, especially
Mhm.
as we are sending. Because The Secret, I do remember, I had seen that movie in 2007 when
Okay. Yeah.
it was launched.
Uh-huh.
I was in the US at that time,
Ooh.
and it had become instantly very popular, the book as well as the movie.
Yeah.
But the law of attraction, I mean, the principle stays the same, but the manifestation has changed over the years because of the energies that we are in. As we are
Wow.
ascending, we are manifesting from 5D more than 3D. What has been your experience? I would love to know how you shifted your scarcity mindset into abundance mindset so that our audience can also learn.
Well, first of all, I would love to hear more about how manifestation has shifted, because the subject for me is, I just love it and I could talk and hear about it all day. But my journey with transmuting scarcity mentality has been a work in progress, you know. And so I have come such a long way already. As I mentioned before, like it was huge for me. It was so huge. And so when I look back, it's like, wow, I have come a long way. Yet, when you have an awakening and you begin becoming more and more conscious, things don't go unnoticed anymore. And so things that did go unnoticed before, like now I can literally, it's palpable for me. So sometimes maybe when I have to invest in something or buy something, spend money or whatever that's related to money, sometimes I'll catch myself having thoughts that are in the frequency of lack, you know? And so, have I manifested total abundance in my life and financial freedom? I don't think so. But I know I'm getting there. And I have been so very patient with myself, you know, because the moment we begin clinging to the results and finally getting to the finish line, we begin creating resistance, you know. And something similar has happened to me this year with my channel, where I began manifesting great results. I had a video go viral, and then something inside of me was like, yes, this is your ticket to freedom. You are finally gonna make it, you know, forever. You're gonna break through. And then I later learned it had to do with something called your upper limit. And so you hit your upper limit, your nervous system is not okay with what's happening. You know, you really want to make it, but your nervous system is not really on board, right? self-sabotage, which is like a protection mechanism. It sounds like it's like an enemy trying to sabotage you, but it's a protective mechanism. And so I began manifesting going backwards again. It was not pleasant. Okay. I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? But thankfully enough, I had enough presence to sit with it and not throw a tantrum and not lose it. Because if this had happened prior to my awakening, I would have lost it. and so this has been going on. And the way I look at it is this: the moment we're going through something, it's like we're in the box, right? And when you're in the box, you can't really see the label. You can't really see the box and what's on it. And what's on it is always progress. We're always progressing, even when it doesn't seem like so. And so I have been sitting with this, knowing that I'm progressing, knowing that my spiritual path is deepening, even though the scarcity thing per se is not getting there just yet, you know? And so I began learning about the nervous system, which is so precious. It's so helpful to understand what's going on in your body when it comes to manifesting, because like the body and the nervous system is like a bridge. And so my manifestation journey has deepened. My presence has deepened because of this setback. And I know that this is meant to be. I know this is the universe saying, hey, there's more for you to transmute here before you level up, you know? And so it's been a beautiful journey. I've been learning a lot, and I'm remembering more and more to not cling to it because I clung to it. It's like I was trying to hold on to the virality, to the high views. And then months later, I realized that it's not about resistance. And so I'm learning more and more to let go and to be fine either way. You know what I mean? And so the experience becomes more joyful. Things begin manifesting more effortlessly. You know what I mean? And so I don't know if I answered your question, but I went on a little journey there, uh, to say that I this is a work in progress, and it's a sacred journey, and it's a beautiful journey. And I know when divine timing is right, I will have conquered it. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, definitely. As you talked about being detached and surrendering to the universe,
Yeah,
that is when it starts to flow. But I'm
sure.
curious to know, when your first video got viral and
Mm.
you got traction on the channel, how did you achieve? What kind of techniques did you use for that?
For the viral video specifically, I used a technique called modeling, which you basically do your research and you take a look at what's going on, especially in your niche. It doesn't have to only be in your niche, but especially in your niche, and you look for what they call the outlier videos. The videos on people's channels that outperform the other videos in that same channel. And then you analyze the title, how the video and the message was basically packaged. Because when you make a video for YouTube, you start with an idea that you want to share with your audience, but then you have to package that video with a title, with a thumbnail caption, which is the YouTube video cover image, right? And the way you package your video is everything, because sometimes you will have an amazing idea that you want to share, but if you don't package it well, following minimally the rules of the YouTube game, then you don't get to to communicate your message to the people. You don't get to share your medicine to the people who need your medicine. And this is a divine work, right? I mean, the message we have to communicate is medicine. And the people who need your medicine will continue to suffer until you get your message across, and it's beautiful. And so playing the YouTube game also involves knowing how to package your video, which sometimes can suck you into the three-dimensional world a little bit, which is not very fun. But again, presence is everything. And so I began doing that, analyzing and seeing the trends and the kinds of titles. And I spotted a title that was really trending at that time, and that was in February. And the trend was, give me an amount of time and I will, and then you make a promise. And the video of mine that went viral was actually on self-love and honoring our beauty, and how what you and how you perceive yourself, the beliefs you hold about yourself, the three-dimensional world will reflect that back to you, and that's pure metaphysics, right? And so my video was called "Give Me 8 minutes and you will never doubt your beauty again." And so I was talking about self-love and inner image and metaphysics and all that. And well, last time I checked, the video had gotten half a million views, which for my small channel is a lot, you know. And so that's how and it's a sequence of events, right? It's very cosmic. It's very, you can't really reproduce it if you cling to it. And so that's how I got the video to go viral. But I had one or two videos that had gotten decent traction before that. Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't use any of the techniques like visualization or any manifestation techniques for that, or did you?
For the video, no, I did not use visual. Well, in meditation, I remember, especially around that time, it's interesting that you're saying that because I would visualize like my subscriber count, like rolling up to 100,000. I would just like visualize like my YouTube studio app and like my profile pic on the left and then the subscribe count going from like, I don't know, I think I had 5,000 subscribers at that time. And so I would visualize it, counting up to 100,000. That
Okay.
was one visualization thing that I did, but not more than that. No.
Okay.
I used to visualize more right when I had my awakening, and then I started doing other things in meditation, and I kind of stopped visualizing for manifestation, you know.
Okay. So apart from the secret, what helped you get through the awakening? Do you
Okay.
connect with any light beings or anybody, masters or anyone who helped you get through this awakening?
hmm So when I had my awakening and I was listening to The Secret, I didn't know I was having an awakening, but I was just having an amazing time. I remember listening because it was all very new to me. And so for me at that time, The Secret and also The Greatest Secret, which is a book that the author of The Secret, Rhonda Byrne, released in 2020. So both books had already been published. So I kind of read both at the same time, which was for me a blessing because I didn't know any of those things. And so I remember being at the gym listening to The Secret, and she was saying how our thoughts have a frequency. I was like, it was a jaw dropping moment because for me, I was separate. I didn't mean much. I had no power over what was happening to me. I was a victim of the 3D world. And so I was like, what? My thoughts have a frequency they can be measured. And so it was amazing. I read all of that, and I also read a book called Zero Limits by Dr. By Joe Vitale, which is one of the teachers in The Secret. So I really resonated with Joe Vitale, and so I looked for some of his books, and I found this Zero Limits book about Ho'oponopono, which I had never heard of before. And so I also listened to that book, and I'm like, oh my God, I get goosebumps just saying this. And I began applying the four statements of Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. To situations that were going on with me. I had a very tense situation with that Reiki woman because I ended up going to her a couple of times as I was having my awakening, but at the end, oh my gosh, like it was so weird. I felt abused by her, which I later realized it was an old pattern in me resurfacing via her for transmutation. It was all happening all at the same time. And my ego wanted to lash out. My ego wanted to punish her because I felt abused by her. But thankfully enough, I had known The Secret and Ho'oponopono. And so I began cleaning, 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 knowing that she was a teacher reflecting an old pattern and a dance frequency back to me for transmutation. And so that's how I began my journey. And I was trying to manifest buying a house when I was broke. And it was fun actually. I remember going to see houses, and there was this one house I really loved. I went there 2 times, and I was like, I can afford anything. Like that's how the flip happened to me. Did I buy the house? Not so much, but I never gave up hope. And so I kind of stopped trying to push the manifestation thing and like making stuff materialize in front of me because it was not happening. And I knew there was a learning curve. I just knew it. And so I just stuck with it and I began exploring other things. And then I began reading Neville Goddard, which was also very mind expanding. And then right after that, I bumped into Dolores Cannon. And it was also a journey on its own. And I began reading her books. I began learning about the ETs, and I was like, finally, something that makes sense about the whole extraterrestrial, thing. And so I began learning about a soul, about karma, which I didn't know before. And law of attraction doesn't really tap into that as much. And so the journey began to deepen right there and then. So learning about karma, learning about soul contracts, and then I began exploring pre-birth planning, and then I began binge watching NDE experiences and all that. And so the journey just deepens. And then I also joined the Rose Cross Order, Rosicrucianism. I began studying mysticism, and the journey never really stopped. And here I am 3 years later, and the more you walk this path, the more you learn. And I mentioned to you, I had a video go viral, and then that led me to studying the nervous system and the upper limit and all that. And again, I don't know if I answered your question, but it's something that compounds, and you're always learning more and exploring other avenues on the spiritual journey. Did I answer your question?
Partially. Uh, I wanted to know if you got any help from higher realms or any
Mm.
guides or masters, because you talked about your teachers and through books, or Joe Vitale is here and Dolores through books has helped you, and Neville Goddard also. Apart from that, were there any light beings or any masters or any spirit guides that helped you through the awakening? And do you connect with any of them right now also?
Perfect. Thank you for reminding me of that specific part of the question. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I do is I most of my meditation sessions, and I meditate twice a day, I connect with my guides. There's a medium called Suzanne Giesman, which I also stumbled upon, you
Yeah.
know, over the course of my journey, and I really resonated with her. And she has a method called the Bless Me method, where she basically guides you in connecting with your guides. And so I bought her HemiSync program. I love HemiSync, which has to do with the gateway experience. I love that. And so I stumbled upon her as she was talking about her method, and then she talks about HemiSync. I'm like, this is so aligned. And so I bought her HemiSync program, where she walks you through connecting with your guides. And so I basically learned how to do it. And that also helped me to realize that connecting with light beings and higher realms, it's such a subtle thing. It's not a material thing like the left brain will have you believe. And so it's all about intention. It's all about giving a command, because our word is decree. We are such powerful beings. And by the way, as soon as I had my awakening, I stopped cursing. I stopped affirming anything that did not serve me. I stopped using bad language. Now, not everyone on a spiritual journey does that, but I remember doing that. And so when I learned about intention and connecting with guides, I was like, we are so very powerful. And so I began doing that in meditation. So I basically do the Bless Me method. So you breathe, you expand your aura, you surrender the ego identity, you shift consciousness to the higher realms, and then you merge, you welcome your guides, you ask them to merge with your field, and then you experience. And so that's what I do most of the time. And so the moment I say, um take a step forward and merge with my field now, the moment I say now, for me it's like it's a done deal. And when you see it like this, something clicks and something changes. And for me, like, we're connected. And then I'll say, what is important for me to know right now? What is important for me to become aware and understand right now? Or sometimes I'll have a specific question, and then I'll just send it out, and I'll pay attention to my thoughts, because not all your thoughts are your thoughts. And this is something that I also learned. There has been times where I would connect to my guides and be like, what is the next video message or video idea that wants to come through, that is in alignment, that people are needing right now? And then I would just sit, pay attention to my thoughts. Sometimes idea would cross my mind and I'd be like, yep, that's it. Or I would finish meditation, pick up my phone, and there would be something on my phone. Sometimes even a YouTube comment, and I'd be like, yes, that's it. So this is how I do it. But for me, and I would love to hear from you, if you want to share about your son, or about how you connect with your guides, because I feel very drawn to this. But for me, in my experience, it's very abstract, but I have learned to trust. I don't doubt it. But for example, clairvoyance or clairaudience is something I would love to develop, but it's not really there. It's not something, a voice that I hear, or something that's very concrete. And so I've learned to trust. And so when I connect with my guides, and I pay attention to my thoughts, I trust that that's guidance. I trust that that's them connecting to me. So that's how I connect to higher realm beings, and it's mostly with my guides. I've never done it with angels or archangels or masters, although I also feel very drawn to them. There's a medium called Tara Arnold on YouTube, and she channels the consciousness of Saint Germain, and I think it's beautiful, and I watch her frequently, and so yeah, I it's also a work in progress for me.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
So
Yes, Suzanne's Bless Me method, I am aware of that. For me, actually, my son started connecting with me, and I've been a meditator for many, many years and a spiritual teacher for many years. So,
yeah.
I used to earlier also connect with the deities, and I used to receive messages and guidance from the deities, like in Indian deities specifically.
Uh,
And then
sure.
after my son started connecting with me, I went to his realm. He's in a very high realm in a higher dimension. So I did astral travel. I do astral travel, lucid dreaming, and I do
I love all
channeling.
that.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Have you
So
done the Gateway experience by any chance? Have you done the Gateway program
no.
or not? Okay, because it also involves astral travel. That's why I'm asking. Okay. I'm
Okay. Yeah.
fascinated by the whole everything you like everything in your bio. I'm like, I love all of this, and I want to develop all of these skills. So please go on.
Yeah. No. So for me, it was because I have had multiple experiences over the years, but the most radical awakening for me was after my son crossed over. Because as a mother, it was a huge trauma, and I couldn't sleep for 5 to 6 months, and he started connecting, and he took me on astral travel. So that's how I started doing astral travel. Before that, even though I was a spiritual teacher and meditator for many years, it was kind of he took me, and then he has been guiding me very actively on a lot of things. So yeah.
That's so beautiful. That's so very beautiful. This you probably do resonate a lot with Suzanne Giesman's story because she was in the military. She was right, and then she became a spiritual teacher because her stepdaughter passed
Yes.
suddenly, right? And that forced her. She always says that I had to I was called to sit in silence to try and connect with her, even though she had never had spiritual experiences before, and it took her a while, right? And then she finally was able to do that. And so something sim something similar happened to you in terms of you being able to expand even further and develop abilities such as astral traveling, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it was the most radical awakening because I've had multiple awakenings in my life.
Mhm.
It's been a roller coaster ride. Uh,
Uh-huh.
so, my son's crossing over was the most radical. Whatever trainings or courses I took were more like validation of what I already knew,
Okay. Mhm.
because it was for me, I already knew all of these things. So I have a soul remembrance of being a multi-dimensional soul coming from a very high realm, projecting my consciousness. I've seen myself projecting my consciousness across the multiverse, across
Uh-huh.
space-time dimensions.
Uh-huh. So you have this memory, you've seen
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Thank
That's beautiful.
you.
Hmm. Yeah, and the partnership you have with your son, right? When it's so divine, right? And
Yeah.
and I'm always thinking about pre-birth planning and how we set up the experience. And I was reading your bio, and I had goosebumps all over. And I was thinking about the contracts and how you have this partnership now, and even though for the human part of us, right? I mean, as long as we're here, we are localized in the third dimension, and we're having the human experience, and things are so dense and things hurt. It's uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And we come here for this, not in spite of this, right? And it's like for transmutation and for the soul's expansion. So even though, and I have no idea what it's like to be a mother and to go through what you've gone through. I mean, I have pets whom I love so dearly that sometimes I'll cry just thinking about not having them around. So I have no idea what it's like to go through what you've gone through. But from the soul perspective, and when I, because it's all pre-agreed and pre-arranged, and we're all in loving service to one another, and service to others is service to seeming others, because on the soul level, like, I know it's obvious, it's so obvious, it's so mundane, like, I am you and you are me, like, but here the illusion is so persistent, and again, we come here for this and not in spite of this. And so illusion is so persistent, and it's easy for us to slip and forget that actually it's one thing. So being in service to others is being in service to ourselves, and we are one. And so yeah, I just got goosebumps all over when I read your bio, and God bless you guys. You are so beautiful. So beautiful.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So my son told me a few times after he crossed over that, Mom, this was something that we had decided earlier. And I feel so grateful. He was here physically only for 17 years. So he was a teenager when he crossed over physically. But I feel so blessed and so grateful even for those years that he's, and of course that now he continues to connect with me, and we work in tandem. Actually, we both work. I also do a lot of work at the astral level. So
this is in meditation, right?
Meditation, dream state. I do lucid dreaming. So astral travel, dream state.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. So you've learned to lucid dream when you're sleeping, right?
Yeah.
So interesting. It's so fascinating to me.
Thank you.
It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
I love that. I love that.
You talked about Ho'oponopono, and I love Ho'oponopono.
Me too.
Can you share some of your experiences of Ho'oponopono?
Sure. Yeah. So Ho'oponopono is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And ultimately, Ho'oponopono is here to remind us that this is an illusion, and what we perceive as being in the out there, coming to get us and attacking us, it's all really a reflection. It's a projection of consciousness, and there's no out there, right? Everything and everyone is you pushed out. So Ho'oponopono is a tool that reminds us that we are not the victims, and that we get to take full responsibility for whatever that shows up for us. And this has nothing to do with guilt or shame or blame, none of that. It's actually reminding us that we are the ultimate creator and that we are the infinite being. And so when we're in resistance mode, when we're fighting projection, right? We are not having a ball. We're not having a good time, and we're just perpetuating the chaos. And when we're asleep in the game, that's what most of us are doing. And again, it's not really fun. So Ho'oponopono is here to remind us that the illusion is persistent, but we get to remind ourselves that whatever we perceive in the out there that we don't like and we don't appreciate, it's up for us to clean, because if we can perceive it, as within, so without, right? So if you can spot it, you got it. And so when you say I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, you're cleaning on the programs that you caught, right? And that are installed or lodged in your subconscious mind. And so therefore it's being projected out into the 3D world. And that's why we perceive it. And so I think that, and this is a story I've shared on my channel many times, and it's a very palpable one, which involves the Reiki woman that I mentioned to you a couple of times in this session here. So the Reiki woman was a blessing because not only did she help me kickstart my spiritual journey, but by the end of our time together, she did something that to me felt like abusive behavior. I had to yell at her to get out of her office. It was horrible. I get into my car. My ego is like, we will destroy this woman. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Feeling horrible. Okay. Like I was saying the prayer, feeling absolutely miserable. It wasn't pleasant. It didn't take away the pain immediately, but I kept at it because when you do, you turn your back to the poison. You turn your back to the negativity. You turn your back to what you don't want more of in your experience. Because we've been conditioned to magnify and amplify the stuff we don't want more of. This is what the conditioning tells us. It's like you got to fix it, you got to fight it, you got to resist it. And what you resist persists, right? And so I get in my car and I begin saying the prayer. I drive back home. And then for the next few days, the residue was in my mind and I felt horrible again. My ego was screaming, but I kept at it, even when it felt uncomfortable. Um, of course, acknowledging I wasn't pushing away the feeling, the uncomfortable feeling, because if I did that, then I'd be resisting that. And so it's not about bypassing or pretending it's not happening. You acknowledge it, but you choose love because we always have a choice. And so that's what I did. And then I remember that residue leaving my body. It's like, wow, if it really feels like I cleaned on this and I was literally actually able to send the woman love. And every time she comes, she appears in my consciousness. I'm like, I love you so much. I wish healing for both of us, you know. Thank you for being such a great teacher. And so, and then later I realized that I had had an experience in third grade where my teacher exposed me in front of the whole class because I was 9 years old and I drew something inappropriate in arts class. And it was a Catholic school. She was appalled by my attitude. I didn't know better. I was just having fun. And she exposes me in front of the whole class. And I feel horrible. And I realized that I had associated that experience, or maybe there was a program that was installed in me where older women, especially with shorter hair, and that's fascinating because the Reiki woman, she didn't have long hair. And so I, in hindsight, I was like, wow, I always felt triggered by older women in some sort of authoritative positions, you know. And I was like, wow, that was a pattern. And I always felt triggered, even though I didn't know why. And so after having cleaned on the Reiki woman with love and actually being able to feel, the unconditional love, like it's another soul, we're in service to one another. I don't feel that frequency in my body anymore. And I was never triggered again. And that kind of happened often, even if that meant in small ways. And so whenever I think of Ho'oponopono, like that's the first story that comes to mind because my body knows that it's been cleaned, because I chose to clean on it. I also cleaned on my relationship with my dad because I resented him for most of my life for many reasons, and we didn't get along very well. And I remember I had been on the path, and he called me, and we had agreed to do something a certain way. And he calls me, and he's like, "Okay, we're doing it this other way now." Okay, I'm like, and I remember listening to that and choosing presence and being like, "Okay, if that's what you want." And so I stayed more quiet, and we hang up the phone. I immediately close my eyes and I go into the quantum field, which is the fundamental reality, right? It's always inside, always inside. That's why when you forgive someone inside of yourself, you're cleaning the whole thing. You don't have to talk to the person. The person might have passed away already. If you clean while you're here, the time is now. You can transmute anything. And so I close my eyes and I'm like, Dad, I love you. I love you. Thank you for everything you've provided me. Thank you for being the amazing dad that you've always been. I appreciate you. I remember vividly doing that. 5 minutes pass, he calls me back and he's like, "You know what? I changed my mind. Let's just do the thing we had agreed on." I'm like, "Thank you." And that was it. Now, I didn't do it to manipulate. I didn't expect him to change his mind at all. I was just choosing love. I was just cleaning. I was just doing Ho'oponopono. The the 3D world rearranges itself to meet you where you are, So this is what Ho'oponopono is about for me. It doesn't mean it's going to make something manifest instantly in front of you, but it reminds us to choose love no matter what.
Hmm. And it's fascinating that you said that you had this pattern which surfaced, that you didn't like short haired women in authoritative position. And it's
Yeah.
so, uh, how our mind works. It's very funny. This can happen anytime at any age, and we can kind of form certain patterns which may not seem very logical at all, but we
Uh-huh.
do form these patterns because of the
Right.
experiences. And then when these are at the subconscious level, we become controlled because of these patterns rather than we being in charge. So
Sure.
I love that you shared that experience. Now, in terms of Ho'oponopono, it because it has these sentences, "Please forgive me," and even though you know that the other person has done wrong to you at that time, you are asking for forgiveness rather than saying, "I will forgive you." So how does that shift happen? Can you talk a little bit about that? Because
Hmm.
people find it hard to say these phrases when they think that somebody has done something wrong to them.
Uh-huh.
So they think that, okay, I should forgive that person. Why should I ask for forgiveness from that person when
Right.
that person has done me wrong? So, for
Hmm.
example, in your case, both your Reiki person as well as your
Hmm.
father
Hmm.
were not actually right from that situation. And
Hmm.
still, you asked for forgiveness specifically and you sent love. So, how did you manage to have that shift?
Okay, so I think I could maybe touch on 2 points here. But for me, I never really resisted the sentences in terms of what they mean and what's going on here, because you're right. Some people, they're not comfortable saying, well, especially the two first, "I'm sorry, please forgive me," because, yeah, they might be like, but I didn't do anything wrong. Why am I asking for forgiveness? Why am I saying I'm sorry? Right? So in the Ho'oponopono, the way I did it, I just went for it because the higher part of myself was guiding me. I just knew it. And so the first thing I'll say is this: when Joe Vitale or Dr. Hulan, the guy who popularized Ho'oponopono, the way they explain it, like what the four phrases mean, is kind of like this: you're talking to divinity, which means you're talking to yourself because you're divinity. You are the universe, right? I mean, we're having the human experience. We are localized in experiencing the personality, which is finite and is not fundamental. But we are the universe walking around in physical form. So we're talking to divinity, which is to say we're talking to ourselves, the higher part of ourselves. And so you're basically going like divinity, God, source, all that is, I'm sorry that those memories were replaying in my subconscious mind. I wasn't aware of them. Please forgive me because you're about to release them. Thank you. I love you. So you're talking to the memories, you're talking to divinity. And so I'm sorry that these memories were playing. Please forgive me. I don't know where they came from. I'm not aware. And we don't have to be aware. All we get to do is release and clean, And so the perspective is this: we are not coming from the third dimensional ego based perspective of separation, meaning I am here, he's over there, he did me wrong. Why am I saying I'm sorry? You know what I mean? And so this is what it's all about. And it's also about remembering that the people who hurt us the most are our greatest teachers because we came in contract with them. And this is so cosmic. The conscious mind can't really, grasp it, but we come into contract with every being we come in contact with. The conscious mind is not able to grasp it. So we get to remember that all of these things, they transcend so vastly the logical mind that it's not the conscious mind's job to figure it out. And so it's about remembering that it transcends and trusting and allowing the conscious mind to object if it wants to, and choosing fundamental truth in the end no matter what. And so why am I saying I'm sorry? We're cleaning. We're saying sorry to the memory, to divinity. And so if we're still holding on to the fact that they hurt me, we are playing the victims again. We slipped back, which can happen, and it's fine if you slip back. I slip back sometimes, but I always remind myself. You know what I mean? And so my spiritual journey, a lot of my spiritual journey involves this. I feel like that's my vein. I feel like I'm really good at, even if it's hurting me, even if it's uncomfortable for me, I'm not gonna fall for that again. I've played this game before and I didn't have fun. You know what I mean?
Thank you for tuning in from wherever you are in the world. As Ramdas says, that we are just walking each other home. So thank you for co-creating the new earth along with me and my guests. If you resonate with me, subscribe to my channel, like, comment, and share. Let's keep this beautiful energy in flow, in motion. Namaste. Lots of love.